This conference will now be recorded.
So set of different users who need same type of access for the content. So we can say that in a simple terminology. Alright, so I think we saw a few things for groups yesterday. Can we create the same user for two groups? Can we create one user for two sites? And how many ways you can add users to the group? So we saw that. But we'll see more when we talk about the permissions topic. Then again we will discuss about so how do you assign permissions to the group level and to the user level. So we'll talk more about that at that point. All right, so for now, just you should be able to create a group and assign users to the group. All right, so I will discuss more about how to make use effectively of the groups when we talk about the permissions concept. Okay, so now moving forward, so what do we understand today is we'll try to we'll try to talk about we'll try to talk about something about the full extract versus incremental extract. All right, so we'll talk about this topic, full extract versus the incremental extract. This is what we will try to understand. So what is the scenario here is this is my database. Okay, so this is my database available here, and this database contains let's say some 10 years of data. 10 years of data. So that means you have got so many number of records in your database, right? And then you have to start doing some visualizations. So for that, what companies will do is they don't give you 10 years of data. So they will give you only some partial data. So let's say they gave us the current year data. All right, so they gave us the current year data. That means in an Excel file, we got in an Excel file. So we got here. So the data from Jan 1st 2022 current date. So this is the data which we are getting from the main database. So how do they do this here? So even if I want to get the data from the database like this, forget about Excel file. So if you want to get the data from this database in this way, so which filter can I apply here? Which filter can I apply? So I can apply here extract filters. Sorry. So when I'm extracting the data from the database, so I want to get the data only from this period. So you are extracting the data from January 1st to current date. Okay, that is fine. Fair enough. Let's put this aside for some time. Okay, so what do we do now is What is a full extract and what is incremental extract? So now let's say here we have Tableau. Let's say we connected the data. We connected the data here from Tableau here. This is my Tableau. And this is my Tableau, and then I want to get the data. So let's put this in between. Okay, let's put that in between. Now what is that we have to do from Tableau? We have to connect to this one, a file which we have here, and then I have to start building the visualizations. Okay, so I will connect to this and start doing the visualizations. So let's say the main database contains some 10,000 records. Okay. And when I filter the data, so here maybe I'm getting some 3,000 records, for example. And now I want to connect to this filter file. So how many records do I have now here? 3,000 records. I said the current date, isn't it? Okay, so today is October 2nd. Today is October 2nd. So I said I just wrote a filter that give me the data in Tableau, and today I got all the records. So I got 3,000 records. And I started building the visualizations, and I have created some bar graphs, some line graphs, and some pie charts. I created some reports. Very good. Now the date got changed. So today is October 2nd. I started building, and it took me 1 week to develop this dashboard. Okay. So now today's date is, let's assume today is October 10th. Today is October 10th. Do you have any change in the data here? On October 10th, do you see any change in the number of records or not? Yes or no? This is my question. So what are your answers? Okay, I am not looking at the chat window. I'll repeat the question again. On October 2nd, I have extracted the from the database, and on 2nd I had 3,000 records. On October, so I took 1 week to develop the reports, and the reports are ready. Now the date is October 10th. On this date also, if I open this workbook again, do I see same 3,000 records, or do I see any change? So here I can say that every day from October 3rd, let's say we are having 100 records on each day. So I got 100 more records on 4th, 100 records. So like that till 10th, every day I'm getting 100 more records. So on an average, there are like 1100 records extra available in my database. Are these available in this records or not is the question. Right. So the data is not available because you did not do refresh, isn't it? So I'm not doing here a refresh. Okay, so let's see here in action this one. All right, so did you understand my problem? On 2nd, I took 3,000 records, and on 10th, again I would see only 3,000 records only, because I'm not doing here get me full data. Even though sorry, so even though the date is changed, do I still see more number of records? No, I see still only 3,000 records. Then what should I do? In Tableau, so you have the data source here. So you have to say right click on this data source and then you have to say refresh. You have to say refresh. Will I get the data? Now you have to say extract refresh. Isn't it the menu? Because we are using some extract connection. Then on 10th, whatever data you have in the database, then you are getting the data, isn't it? So let's connect to Tableau here. Alright. So this is my Tableau. Let's erase everything. And do I have data in my database? Yeah, I do have data in the database here. So let's connect to the data, then SQL Server, and then what is the password? Welcome @123. You can also try from your PCs using the same IP address. Let's say sign in. Right? So select your database here. Have your table. And then I don't want to take live connection because I want to limit the number of records. So I'm not using live. So I want to use extract. So from the main database, I have 4 years of data, but I need only current year data. So how to get only current year data here? So I'm now clicking on edit and I want to say add. Now can I go to order date? Which one shall I select here? Can you help? I want to get only the data from January 1st to till date. Which option should I select? Months. So you want to select here months. Okay. So observe here, select here range of dates, say next. And what is the starting date you want to select? So I want to have records from 2020 January 1st. All right, so give me the records from this date only. So I don't want the previous number of years data. All right, so select your starting date. And two, whatever the data you have, so get me the data. All right, so it should limit to current date, but I have data till end of the year. But if you have data till current date, only that date will be displayed here. All right, let's say okay. And I'm saying here, okay. And then go to the sheet 1. So this is the superstore data from January 1st 2020.hyper. Okay, let's click on save. Let's click on save. Now, how many records do I have here? How do I know? So just you can drag this orders account to see how many records I have. Okay, it is 3055 records. But the total records are somewhere around 10,000, isn't it? But how do I confirm only January 1st records are available from January 1st? Take the order date. You can see that only 2020 data is available. Okay, then that's fine. So we are getting only data. We are getting data from January to current date. But I have data till December. So you can ignore this part. Fine. So here, which type of connection we are using? Extract connection, isn't it? Right. So let's build the data. So let's take here order date, profits, and so you can change that to month wise, and I'm trying to show the output. So I have developed the dashboard and it took like 10 days to complete it. Now I closed it, opened it, closed it, opened it, and it took 10 days. Now the question is, on 10th day, will I see any change in the data? Or the second day, will you see change in the data? So answer is no. I don't see any change in the data. Why? Because unless you do here, you come here and say extract, refresh, so you don't get the updated information, isn't it? Right. Okay, one thing is clear. We'll not get the updated information unless I do extract, refresh. Now I want to click on refresh. All right, so I have changed my mind and I said here, hey, it's almost 10 days here. So let's do some refresh activity. And then I did extract refresh. So now again observe here in the database. So now the total records were 3,000 as of October 2nd. All right, so the total number of records as on October 10th is 4,000. Okay, and this is our tableau. This is our tableau, and then this is my data, superstore data. Now, what I am saying here, I am trying to say extract. I'm trying to say here extract refresh. Now, observe here, what happens is the question. So, what happens? In your extract file, which is in the form of dot hyper, isn't it? That is in the form of dot hyper, are all these records. So this file also has 3,000 records. When I say refresh, will all these records be deleted, or will these records be overridden? What does it happen? So what does it happen here is when we say extract refresh, the content of your extract file, how many records you have, everything will be deleted. And then how many records the database is sending to Hyperfile? 4,000 records data will be sending by Tableau server. So how many records the database is sending now? 4,000 records. That means is it sending this refresh it is, we call this as full refresh. That means, so I'm taking here full extract refresh files. So clear all the records from the existing hyperfile, and then I want to get all records from the database. Yes. Now observe 4,000 is a very
That
small.
means it is overridden, right?
Can it be overridden? Yes, completely delete existing and then get from the fresh count all 4,000. Do you get here? So this deleting 3,000 records and delete the total records. Okay. Any questions? No. So what is the disadvantage here? So the disadvantage here is, sir, already this file contains 3,000 records. How many records is there is a change here? So maybe 1,000 records are extra. Why can't we get only 1,000 records? Isn't it? So why can't we get only 1,000 records which are newly added after second, so that we can reduce the data transfer from the database? So how to reduce this? Here the data transfers. I don't want all the records, please send me only the newly added ones. Then, so if you want to have only the records added which are newly added, then we have to use incremental refresh. We have to use incremental refresh. That means send me the newly added records after the date which we specify. All right, so now what is the criteria here? How do the incremental refresh works means? So these incremental refresh works based on the date fields only. So after second, the date field, how many records are there? Send me that information. So we have to specify that information to W, and how do we do that? All right, so now if I do right click here, refresh, and let's say refresh data, so observe here what it is giving. Entire contents will be deleted. So it takes some time. Do you still want to continue? I said, yeah, continue that. Records back to the database. Okay, now I don't want to do this. Now here, do I see any option here? When I say extract, do I see any option incremental? I'm not seeing that option here, isn't it? Now what to do here is, so how to reduce the load or how to increase the performance here. So go to the extract filter and observe here we have some option here, incremental refresh. All right, so incremental refresh means give me only the newly added records. Don't give me the extra records. Now select this option. Okay, select this option. And which table? So there's only one table here. And here, on what basis I have to give you the new records? On what basis I have to give you the new records? Based on the dates. Based on the dates. So if you observe this drop down, this shows only the date fields here. Isn't it? It shows only the date fields, because if there is a change in a date, then give me the number of records. So select here order date, right? And then say here okay. Okay, so where is OK button? OK button is somewhere on the downside here. So this is very tricky, the OK button. Let's put it this side. Okay. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I said there, give me the incremental refresh by date fields. Go to the sheet. Now what do we do here is, so okay, so where are the other measures? Selected something else here. Can I reduce this here? So I want to see what all options it is selecting. So, okay, it's difficult to click on OK button. If it clicks on something else, so we really don't know what it is clicking on. Alright, I'll show you with some Excel files, so it's a little easy there to understand. So observe here, if I say here, right click, and if I go to extract, then you will see two options here. All right, so you are seeing two options. So what is full refresh here again? So if I want to do full refresh here means, so again you are deleting the complete records from the extract file, and it is pulling all the records from the database, no matter what. It takes time, it is giving some warning. Do you still want to continue? Yes, sir, I want to continue. And observe here another option here, this time incremental refresh. So when I say this, when I click on that, so what are the newly added records? Only that will be visible, or that will be appended to the existing file. So it is little hard to show for this data source. Let's connect it to some other Excel file, and then I'll try to show you that. So Excel file, and before that we need to have the data. Where do we have the data here? Full extract. Let's say open. Sorry. Control colon, so it takes me to current date, and let's say here previous month. I'll take some previous month data. Otherwise we'll do it in a reverse way. Today is current date. Sorry. So this is October 1st. Okay, that's nice. Let's save this file. Right, so let's save this file and let's connect this file to Tableau now. So today, I have the data like this, like 7, 8 records. So I have data till yesterday and last 8 days of data. Let's connect this file. Okay, and I'm selecting here extract. Okay, I'm selecting here extract, and I'm not applying any filters. Observe, only thing I'll change here is the incremental refresh. Okay, and okay, this is a little harder to click on OK button. And which table? Sheet 1, and which one? So here it shows different fields, but don't select any other one other than the date fields. And then let's click on OK. Right, so it is hard to click OK. 1, 2. Did that click on? Okay, it's hiding. It's a poor design, I would say. Did it click on OK button? It looks like it clicked on OK button. So we'll validate that. So what I selected there is incremental refresh. Let's go to sheet 2, and this is a test. This is a test for incremental versus full. All right. So do I see option now here, extract? Oh, it's still refresh, so I did not apply that properly. So bad. Let's go back here. So let's select incremental refresh and select here sheet 1, the date field. Then we have to click on OK. Okay, it's clicking on something else. One, two, so I don't see where it is going. Very hard time clicking on OK button here. Okay, let's hit the tab one more time. One more time. It is on history. One more time. Where it went. And so let's move the taskbar here. Can I move the taskbar to the right side? Okay. I'm trying to move the taskbar to this side. Okay, even taskbar is not moving. So bad. Enter is not working and Alt O is not also working. How do we fix this problem? Gone. So what we'll do here is, that's a bad design, isn't it? So the user is not able to do that. Right, and so that's the highest one we have. Okay, select the date fields. Okay, it's clicking on OK is a difficult task. Yeah. So it looks like it clicked on OK button, but the window is not getting away. What difficulty is this?
Sir, right click on the taskbar, sir. There you will get an option.
Yeah, this is very bad. Yeah, even this did not work. One highest combination. Let's change it back to recommended. Okay, don't lock the taskbar. Yeah, it now moved. All right, so let's try this time now. And where is our target? All right, so this time we should see the full screen, but let's maximize this and click on edit and add incremental refresh, and then select the sheet, select the date. Finally, I'm getting OK button now. What is this difficulty? It's a very funny one. All right, so now what did we apply is we selected incremental refresh. And how to verify that it applied correctly, go to the sheet and right click on this, and we should see these two options. All right, so we should see these two options here. So now what do we do here is, I'm not changing any data. So observe here, I'm clicking on full refresh. I'm clicking on full refresh. Okay, do you want to change? Yes, I clicked on yes. How do you know what happened here? So do you know that is there any changes it added, or how do you know that? Here means go to extract and click on history. All right, so click on history. Now it says a full refresh. How many rows it refreshed? 8 records. So 8 records it got from the data source once again. All right, so it got 8 records once again. So can we do one more time? So full refresh again, yes. So do that and go to refresh and go to history and look at the time what it is doing at again 8:47, and so again it is getting the updated data. Okay, this is fine. And can we do now incremental refresh? Do I see any difference here? All right, so let's click on incremental refresh. Did you observe? Is it giving any warning message? No warning message. And how do we know whether it worked something, whether it got something from the database? So go to here, history. All right, so go to history and observe here. Did it get any new records from the database? No, it says 0. That means it says there are no new records. Everything is up to date. Excellent. Now what happened here is, let's say today is October 2nd. So after some days, we got the data into the database. So let's say here we have some new records coming up into this system. So let's say here the records, and let's put some information here like this. Right, so let's put some dummy values here. All right, and okay. So now do you see the change in the number of records? Yes, after. So what was the date where it finally added that? I think it was 1st October. And there are some new fields coming up into the database. Now if we do full refresh, we'll get all the records once again. But now I don't want all the records because I already have 1 to 8 in my table. I need only these newly added records. Okay, so in this case, what do we do now here is right click on this and go to extract and say here, just give me the incremental refresh. All right, so click on that and wait for a second, and then right click on this and extract, and then go to the history. All right, so now if you observe here, so incremental refresh, it got how many records? So there are 3 new records which are available in the database, and what this is going to do, it is going to get only 3 records which are newly available in the database. And what is that doing is that adding to the current table. Observe that. So it is adding to the current table here. So which one is faster? Incremental refresh is faster because it only gets the newly added records from the data source, and it does not really bother about the previous records. All right, and observe here. So today it has like 4th, isn't it? Now let's add one more record here, or 2 more records on the same date. Let's put these values here. Okay, now there are additional records coming up here, and now let's save that. But observe, I'm not changing the date. Okay, I'm not changing the date here. And then now let's do the incremental refresh. If I say full, I'll get all the records. There is no doubt in it. But let's say incremental refresh. Now, do I get the records which I added with the same date here? Yes or no? What do you think? So do we get these 2 new records as well? All right, so observe here. Yeah, so somebody said no. All right, so let's go to extract and go to the history. Now it is saying here what? 0. Ayo, sir, we have new records, but why it is showing 0? Yes, it is showing 0 because what is a filter what we applied? If the date is this, then get me those records. If the date is not changing, then I will not get those records. It's fair enough. So on 4th, you have the same values. So I will not get this record. So on the same day, if I'm getting so many records, so I will not get this. So generally, that means how to solve this problem. If you want to get the records till 4th, so the best way is on 5th. On 5th, perform the incremental refresh. So if you do on 5th, if you perform incremental refresh, what all you have till 4th, you will get those records. And for 5th day records, do it on the 6th day, the incremental refresh. So what happens in real time here is, so this refresh, who will do it? So right click on this. So every day Every day, will you open Tableau desktop and right click on this sheet and extract incremental refresh? So is this a manual task? No, let's say our lead is doing this in Tableau desktop. So it is a manual task, isn't it? So every day you have to get the data. Now we'll not do this manually. We'll not do this manually because there are two reasons. Number one, the data source will be available in Tableau server. The data source will be available in Tableau server. First point. Second point here is, okay, so somebody will connect to server, and then there also we can perform full refresh and incremental refresh. Full refresh and incremental refresh. We can do it from server also. But here, let's say our lead, our TL or PM is doing this activity. Every day when they come into the office, the first thing they do is refresh the data. So it will be up to date. But let's say this fellow is not coming to office today. He's sick, like me, right? So what do we do now? So do you still work on old data? Yeah, unless you are pulling the data from the main database. So in your Tableau server, you will have previous data. Then what to do here is automate this process. Automate this process. That means every day 9 a.m. Every day 9 a.m. Tableau server should automatically talk to the main database and get the incremental refresh and put the records into my data source. So Tableau server will do this activity for you. Right? So that means we are automating the refresh action in Tableau server itself. So how to do this automatically means that there is a small topic called as schedules. So what is that here is a schedules. So what is a schedule? Schedule means it is an event which should happen at that point of time. So I'm scheduling the cab booking. So I want to book a cab. I want to go to airport. So I said, okay, 9 a.m. So please be available here. So I'm telling to my cab driver. That means I'm scheduling this. My flight is scheduled at 10 p.m. So that means at that point of time, so this will happen. Schedule means what? It is an event which will happen at that point of time. And this event should be automatic. This event should be automatic here. Okay, so then we can automate that in Tableau server. Now we know how to do the incremental refresh or full refresh in the Tableau desktop. But remember, so this option we will not do that in desktop. So this will be done at the server level only. Okay, because if you do this, you will have the data in your machine only. But if there is some other user, unless he refresh that, he'll not get the updated information. So you might ask me one question, sir, why we should do in server? Why can't we do that in our desktop? You can definitely do that in your local machine. But let's say here, this is my database and I have 3 people working on that. So this is one Tableau developer 2, Tableau developer 3. So this fellow is very up to date and every day he opens the workbook. So he said, give me the updated data. So he gets the data and he starts working on the report. This fellow is lazy fellow. So he says, I will not talk to the database. I will just work on what I have in my local machine. And this is also the similar fellow. And he says, even I will not refresh the data. I'm working from last 10 days with my data. There is inconsistency, isn't it? So 3 developers working on the same data source, but the number of records these 3 people have is completely different. We should avoid that. So how we should avoid is we will have the data source available in server and the server will take care of the data. So now these developers So these developers, when they start connecting to the data source, so they have to connect to this data source. So anytime these two fellows connect, you will get the same number of records. So to maintain that consistency, we have to do the refresh option at the server level, right? So this will be again automated. So now let's see that. So how do we do this activity? How do we do this activity? So for that, what we do is first let's publish the data source into Tableau server, and then we will perform some activity there. Okay, let's connect to the database, and let's connect it to SQL Server. So I'm connecting to the main database, and I don't need all records from the database. So I'm selecting only few records. Let's say here extract file. So I'm extracting data from the database. Observe the difference. I'm extracting the data from the database for only records for this year. So let's say add, let's say here order date, range of dates. Give me the records starting from January 1st. Okay, that's fine. And then I want to allow here incremental refresh, and then so which table? This is my orders table. I'm looking at, this is the order date, and then hit OK. All right, and then go to the sheet level. So it is asking, yeah, do you want to save this? Yes, I want to definitely save that. So this is a DB Superstore, and then this year data, and then this year data. Let's save this file. Okay, where is this here? So we are creating which connection here? Okay, so this is my data source, right? Now let's publish this data source. But what is the version here? This is 2020. So we should have done this in 2018 version. Sorry, so let's do this very quickly in 2018. Otherwise, we could not publish the data source. So, right, let's do it one more time, real quick. Right, remember. Now connect it to the SQL server. Sign in. And select this. Right. So let's go to extract, edit. So add one filter for that. And then let's start here the order date. Starting date. This is not needed, but I'm just showing in addition to the incremental refresh. So how extract can be made use? So this is one real-time scenario. So we pull data, only limited data from the database. And yeah, apply incremental refresh. Here it shows only these two are the valid dates for the incremental refresh. So I would select here order date. Okay, that's fine. Let's say okay. And let's go to the sheet one. And then let's select that file. so once it is done, so it will take us to the sheet 1. All right, now shall I see these two options? Yes, we are able to see that. Now can we publish this data source to server? Can I publish this data source to server? And now use this option, publish to server. This is my server, yes. Okay, so how we want to log in? I'll use admin, so no restrictions for me. But generally, which one is the best login is creator. So creator is the best login to use here. Okay, so I'm publishing that to project A and name. So let's say here this is from DB Superstore from 2020, from Jan 2020. And then observe here now a couple of things. So you are getting refresh schedule, you are getting incremental and full extracts. So we can select from here or we can select this from the server. So generally we'll do this from this server, not from the Tableau desktop. But we'll get these options here. So what are these, from where we are getting this? I'll show you in server. And permissions, not worry about that now. So let's go to authentication. So what authentication do you want to have? The database communicated with the password inbuilt? Yes, so select here, allow refresh access. So that means let's give the password details inside this connection so it doesn't ask me every time. Right, so use this allow refresh access. And then, so you can see that here the message, it is a little clear here. So embeds credentials for that connection because it is a DB, not an Excel file. All right, now we are ready with our extract file with incremental refresh as well. So let's publish this data source. How quick it is. So it said I'm done. Okay, that's nice. Now let's go to server and then let's learn something there. So where is this here? Let's open that. Okay, let's log in as admin. Okay, so which site did we log in? So this is not the site I want, so I'm changing this to Amazon, and then directly I'm going to the data source, and here, yeah, this is my DB, and this is my database details, and this is a project, and who is the owner? So who uploaded that data source? Admin uploaded that. What is the type? It is extra. Very nice. Now observe here, if you click on this three dotted symbol, you see the option here, refresh extracts. Now the data what we have here is till one point, maybe till today. Now if we want to get the updated information, then if you click on that, we see two options here, isn't it? So which we saw in Tableau, so it is very similar here in server. So do you want to get full data from the server or only the incremented data? So which option you want to select? So we can select any option here, isn't it? So it is again manual. So manually I'm selecting that. Okay, sir, but why manual? Let's have something here. Every day, 9 a.m. you talk to the data source and get me the updated data. Okay, so how do we do that now? Is use this option. Use this option here, schedules. Right, so let's go to schedules, click on that tab, and observe there are some default schedules available in Tableau server. So these are the default schedules. End of the month, Monday morning before you start the work, Saturday night if you are working from Monday to Saturday, weekdays early mornings where there is no traffic to the database, weekday mornings. So these are some defaults, but I don't want to use these defaults. My requirement is, let's say Monday 8 a.m. I have to get the updated information. So every Monday 8 a.m. That means we are doing weekly once update. Weekly once update, we will do that now. So how do we select that? Click on new schedule. All right, so let's name that schedule here every Monday. All right, so let's say every Monday. And here, observe it is saying task type. Okay, this is an extract to refresh, but click on this drop down, you will see that you can create a schedule for subscription and for refresh. All right, so we can create a schedule for refresh the databases and the subscriptions as well. Let's talk about the refresh options for the databases. And here, what is this option? Default priority. So default priority, it is showing as 50, and the lower the number here, so let's say the lower the number, if you have 1, then that will be executed first. If you have number 2, then that will be executed second. But what is this option here is, let's say in Tableau server, there are 3 clients. There are 3 clients, and for all the 3 clients, we are scheduling same time. So Monday 8 a.m. So all the 3 clients says, I want that refreshed at Monday 8 a.m. Everyone says mine is first, mine is first. Then which one should get executed first? Then use this option default priority. Alright, so if you have any very good customer, like which is a high revenue customer, then make that priority like 1. And second customer, give the priority as 2, and give the priority as 3. So when clock hits 8 a.m., so then Tableau server says, okay, for client 1, so I'll run this schedule. Client 2, after this is complete. For client 3, that is complete. So that means it can pick up things one by one. So we have to mention what is the order. So when everyone is setting at the same time period. This is a rare scenario, but if that is the case, then use this option, default priority. Otherwise, just leave it to 50. This is like a ranking system. Which one should get executed first? All right, now this is done. So I don't have any clients, so I'm just leaving this option default.
Sir, can you
So,
once repeat last 1 minute, sir? I'll get that this one.
which one?
Last 1 minute, sir. Last option.
Nothing. So if you have
Client
like,
priority. Client priority.
yeah, if you have schedule same time at 8 a.m. for 2 or 3 different people, which one should execute first? There is a confusion. So Tableau says to avoid that confusion, use this option. So if you use this option, so client 1, for that client 1 database, execute at this 8 a.m. Then for client 2, so start this one. For client 3, so you start this one. So that means if everyone are asking at the same time to refresh, then we should tell Tableau that which one shall I pick up, because everyone is asking at the same time. So which one shall I pick up? Use this priority. Use this priority. So give this as 1 for client 1, 2 for client 2, and 3 for client So 8 a.m. this will start, and after this is starting, then this will get started, and after that this will get started. So everyone will start by 8 a.m. only, but this one will be picked up first. Right? So everything will be at the same time, but in an order. Maybe there are some dependencies as well, isn't it? So maybe there are some ODS things available. So there can be the main database and ODS databases. So do you know what is ODS? ODS is nothing but the backup, or you can be, it can be like the data warehouse databases, where the data from main database will be pushed to the secondary data sources. ODS is nothing but the Oracle data source, right? So in company they do this. If they have lot of data, they'll maintain 2 to 3 different ODS databases. So first this will should be run, then this should be run. So set that priority levels here. Okay. So if everyone are fighting at the same time, otherwise just ignore this option. Just leave that default. Now let's say, okay, I finalized there is only one database which I have to refresh. Okay, that is fine. So I left this default. Execution, what is this again? Parallel and the serial. Are both same? No, both are not same. Both are different. How they are different? How they are different? How they are different means in Tableau desktop here, let's go to desktop. How many data source we have? One. Let's add one more. What will happen? Alright, so let's assume this is another database. And let's say here I have something like this. Alright, let's go to sheet. See how many I have here? For one report, I need to work with the 2 data sources. And maybe these 2 are in the same data source or in the same database or from different databases. Maybe you can assume this is one from SQL Server, this is from Oracle. In one workbook here, how many databases we have? 2. Then which one should get executed first? Should I refresh this one or should I refresh this one? Confusion. Again, confusion for Tableau server. Then in that case, so what we can do here is we have to tell Tableau here, where is that? So here, if you say parallel, then it will execute all data sources parallelly. If you say serial, then one after the other, it will be executed. So what is this execution means? If you have more than one database to refresh, if you have more than one data source to refresh, then use this option. So generally this will be set to parallel. So we can talk to 2 data sources at the same point of time. Because it is a server, it can work fastly. Right. Now frequency. This is what I want. Remember, one mandatory interview question. Now what is your requirement here? Every Monday 9 a.m. or let's say 7 a.m. before nobody comes to office. So I said here weekly, and which day? Monday. And what is the time? 9 a.m. Right, so I'm selecting here weekly, Monday 9 a.m. That's it. So is that created? Yes. And let's edit those settings again. So this is what we set. Now, what is the minimum time you can configure in Tableau server? This is one mandatory question in the interview. That means what is the minimum time you can configure for refreshing. So this is the main database. This is my Tableau server database. So how frequently you can communicate? What is the minimum time? I can communicate monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. So that means that hour looks to be the minimum time, isn't it? And again in hourly, observe what is the least time? 15 minutes. So the least time I can talk to the main database is 15 minutes. That means your Tableau server will be able to communicate with the database for every 15 minutes also. So I can get the updated data from the main database here for every 15 minutes. Even this is possible. So this 15 minutes is the interview question. What is the minimum refresh time you can give from Tableau server? 15 minutes. If my requirement is to refresh for every 5 minutes, is it possible or not possible? This is also a very important interview question, mandatory question. I want to refresh the database for every 5 minutes. Is it possible or not possible? The answer is yes and no. So answer is yes and no. So no, it is not possible from Tableau server, but yes, it is possible from another application, which is called as TabCMD. This is a command prompt application. And from this we can write a small batch file and then link that to the Windows scheduler. Then I can refresh it for 5 minutes also. Right, I'll show you that manually. So how it communicates with the database for every 5 minutes automatically. You don't need to do anything, right? So everything will be done automatically. We just need to write some small script and it will communicate for every 5 minutes. Sorry. So the minimum time here is 15 minutes. But what is our requirement? Our requirement here is weekly Monday 7 a.m. This is my requirement. Let's say save. Right? Now we created a schedule, but is this schedule linked to our data source? Because there are so many data sources available here, isn't it? So there are 3 or 4 data sources available. Now which one it will execute? Nothing will be executed because we have to link that schedule to the database. So we have to link that schedule to this data source. Otherwise, how will Tableau know that? So how to link that now? Click on this dotted one, click on refresh extracts, and then you can manually do also. You can manually do these 2 things. No, sir, I don't want to do manually. Go to schedule a refresh, and then which one you said? Which one? Every Monday. Okay, select that one. Now, which type of refresh you want? Full refresh or incremental refresh? Please select that here. Sir, I need incremental refresh, right? And then schedule refreshes. Then schedule refreshes here. All right. So now what happens here? So now for every day Monday, it should be refreshed. So click on that details and go to the refresh schedule option here and observe here. So for this data source, so did you update any time? So it said you did not do anything, but the next update will be run at this time. So you are seeing this in PM because I think I scheduled this server in a different time zone. It is not in IST. It is in a different time zone, so it shows as PM. But here, hang on. Let's check one more time whether we set at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. So let's check that, and then we will confirm. Edit settings, and yeah, it is in AM only, so that's nice. So that time you are seeing 7:30 because it is in different time zone, not in IST. But we can definitely change that. That is not a problem. But observe here now, for this data source, click on this data source and go to the refresh schedule option, and you can see here when is the next update it is going to do. So when the clock hits this time, then automatically it will refresh. So can we change for 15 minutes? Maybe we can check that. So what do we do here is let's change that to 15 minutes. So I'm going to edit the settings and I'll change to hourly and then to 15 minutes from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. It's fine. So otherwise, let's say 11:45 p.m. Say so we can set the time limit as well. Sorry. So what is the time it is taking at? So next is it says 10 p.m. That's still fine because the time limit is a different one. And then can we say run now? Yes. So let's say execute now. See what happens. I said do now. So do one time and then you can do it in 15 minutes from now. Let's go to the content and let's go to the data source and click on this data source, or just observe here. Observe here. So it says this time. Maybe we'll change the server time zone so it shows in IST, and click on that. Click on refresh, and you can see the last update is done at this point, and my next update is at this point of time. So within another 6 minutes, so it has to run the schedule, and we should see the data coming from the data source, isn't it? Okay, so this is how we do it automatically from the Tableau server. So there is no manual thing here. So please remember, this all will be done by your system admin or the Tableau server admins. You will never get a chance even to log in to Tableau server to do these activities. Your role will be just to publish the data source. That's it. This all will be done by the server admins. Okay, so now did we see something about schedule? Yes, we saw that. And we clicked on this and we said run now, isn't it? So we manually said get me the data. Is that successful? Is that failure? How do I know that? Go to the task menu here. Sorry, not task here. Go to the status here, and in the status here, click on this option, background task for extracts. Okay, let's click on this extracts. I want to see the status, whether it is a successful, whether it is a failure. Because how do I know? Did I get the data or not? How do I know? So observe here, this is my data source, and so it says it is a success. So how much time it took here? Let's place mouse on this. So the runtime is 3 seconds. You can see on the tooltip, and it says like what is the task there? Increment. It is a success, and the runtime is 3 seconds. Observe the last two lines. So I'm getting incremental extracts from the data source. So do you have any rows there? Zero. I don't have any rows to insert. so it says 0. If you have rows, then it might have told you that I had 3 rows, I had 4 rows, appended that. So this way you can look at your status. Even this is one interview question. How do you know that the last extract was a successful or a failure? How do you confirm that? So we can confirm by going to the status and then clicking on background task for extracts. Then look at your data source, and then it is success or it is failure, then we can see that option here. Right? So this is one point. And then we'll do one more thing, one more option here, because I did not show that here. So let's try one more option. Let's publish this to server, and everything is the same. Let's say this is a key. And now did you observe refresh schedule? So it is automatically telling you that there is a new one which you can use that. So I don't want to use this. I'll say none. And authentication, this time I want to say not enabled. Right, so I've said I don't want to allow any refresh options. Right, so let's publish this data source. And it still gives us a warning. Do you still want to do that? It says, yeah, are you very sure about this option? Yes, I'm damn sure. I don't want to give my credentials, and I said refresh not enabled. So click on that, yes. Okay, so why it gave another question mark symbol? All right, so we'll try to understand. Let's go to server, and let's go to the content. Let's go to data source. And do you have that option? Yes, very nice. I have that option. Is that the extract? Yes, it is a DB, it is extract. Everything is fine. Okay, now let's click on refresh extracts. So there's no schedule. I don't want to link any schedule, but just say I want to do full refresh or incremental refresh. Click on that. It said, yeah, I created a refresh. That means it said, okay, I'll talk to the database and see if there is any new records for you. Okay, let's go to status. How to validate whether it is successful or a failure one. Go to this. And there's another option here. So T1, yeah, this is what we did. And click on this option here. And it said finished refresh of extracts. All right, so again, the task is showing as success. Oh, this is fine. So is it a full refresh or incremental refresh? So there is no option here, incremental, isn't it? Okay, so I wanted to show one more thing here. Let me just go back to the server, and I'm waiting for clock to hit 10 o'clock for that, so that we see this line coming up automatically, because the clock is hitting 10 minutes very soon. Let's click on the first one and click on refresh schedules. Okay, so it says the last update is at 10 p.m. So it has run the schedule then. So it says it's 10:15. Very nice. So it has executed that. So let's go to the status and then background task for extracts. Did you see the third one? So this one is coming up here automatically. I did not run any extracts. I ran for T1. But did you see this one is coming up automatically because the clock hit 10 p.m. and so it is trying to execute this. And so do you have any data? Then it is trying to talk that and it says success. So when you have any problems, then it shows here failure and it tells you what is the problem and why you could not get the data from the server. So if the database is down and if you cannot connect to it, if the drivers are not available, then it gives you a message here saying a failure and it tells you that why it failed. So from now on, for every 15 minutes or so, this will be talking to the database, which is in another PC. If I turn down the database, then it gives us the error message that it could not connect to the database. Okay. So this is how we schedule things automatically in Tableau server, and some information about full refresh and incremental refresh. Okay. And here I got one question here. What's the notepad? See the notepad. Okay, what is this here? Let's put this question. Can we do schedules or can we apply full extracts or incremental extracts on file systems? Yes or no? Can we apply on databases? 100% we can apply on the databases, so there's no problem at all. But
No.
if you have few things on file, can you do that? Answer is no. So you cannot apply that to your file systems. So it is only on the databases where we can apply that, and you can select that option, but it will give you the errors. Do I have any file systems? XLS. Okay, this is Excel file. And let's click on this and say refresh extract. And I said full refresh. See here it created. Oh, can we create that? All right, so let's go to status and then go to the backgrounds and observe that here we see error message. So we see an error message for the file systems so that it could not connect to the main file which is in my local PC, but the Excel file is not in the server. So it says unable to connect to the file. So the last three lines. So it gives you the error message. So if something goes wrong, you will get the error message like this. All right, so answer is no. So this is one very good interview question. So can you do these things? The answer is no, we cannot do that. All right. And yeah, so I'll just put those questions here. What is the minimum time we could apply refreshes on DBs from Tableau server? So answer is 15 minutes. So this is very, very commonly asked question and the first question maybe sometimes. And if we want to refresh for every 5 minutes, is it possible? So answer is no, it is not possible from Tableau server, but possible from tab CMD. Alright, so it is possible from tab CMD. So I'll try to show you that. So it's just the batch file. which keeps on popping up for every 5 minutes. It will connect it to the Tableau server, it will log into server, it will talk to the database, it will get the data, and then it will log out of the server automatically. You don't need to do anything. Alright, so I'll show you how to write that in command prompts. Okay. Now what you have to do here is, and now observe this question carefully. We uploaded the data source. Now my question is, can we run the schedule for the Tableau workbooks which have extract connections to DB? Observe the question here. So I showed you only the database. Now you have connected to the database, you took the extract, you created some reports, you published the final output to the server. Alright, so what we have in the server, we have workbook in server, which is an extract connection to DB. Alright, now can we ask a Tableau server to refresh this workbook for every 15 minutes? Is it possible? Not possible. Mahesh, first answer. Are you there today? I did not look at the attendees. Yeah, you are there, Mahesh. What's the answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
1 minute, 1 minute. I can.
Okay, read the question. No problem. Read the question and try to find out the answer. I'll put that question here. Sorry again. My throat is not very well today. This is my workbook, and so we have like extract which is embedded, right? So I have this workbook which is of a DB connection, which is of extract, and yeah, the data is embedded here. Now can you run the schedule for this? See, observe here. Do you see extract refresh option? Can you do that for workbooks? Click on refresh extracts, and can I run that? Can I run that? So just say full refresh. Right? And can we check the status also, because even that is important. Mahesh, what is the answer? I'm going to the status tab.
No, sir, I don't know, sir.
So you don't think it is possible? Will it give error or will it give success?
It give error, I think.
It gives error. This is what you think, isn't it? Now this is the embedded one, isn't it? So this is an embedded workbook for a database with extract connection. And what is the status here? It is success. That means you can definitely refresh, isn't it? So you can definitely refresh Tableau workbooks as well with the DB extract connections. It is possible. Right, so it is also possible because you publish your workbook with extract connections, then if you don't refresh that, if somebody is trying to open that workbook in their mobiles, then you see the old data, isn't it? But I want new data. Then if you are putting that refresh for every day, then that is very useful. Understand scenario like this. I published my workbook with extract connection, and after 10 days I am trying to open that workbook. Now I'm expecting to see the updated information. Yes, even for that, just implement the schedule and then link that schedule to that workbook, and every day it updates the data source in that workbook. So anytime you open, you would see previous day data, right? So answer is yes, you can apply that. So is that clear, Mahesh?
Yes,
And
sir.
for everyone as well, not only for him, because he's attending interviews, you can expect a little deeper interview questions. Okay, right. So we'll stop it here for today. And so I want you to play with this extract connections. Try with the notepad, try with Excel, try with the database, and publish the data sources to server, publish your Excel files to server with extract connections, and use incremental and full refresh, and then create the schedules, link them, and I would recommend creating a small dashboard with 1 or 2 reports, and you see the output today and you see the output tomorrow. So you should see the latest record if you update the data source. Alright, so now you have mobiles. So install Tableau Mobile and connect to this server with the same login, administrator, and then password, and then publish your report to server and keep an eye on your report, right? And then update your data in the Excel file or in the database. So you can insert records in the database as well. So only thing, connect from SQL Server. So I'll show you how to connect it from SQL Server as well. So you can insert any records into the database as well. And try to see that record tomorrow. See the report today, see the report tomorrow, but create a schedule, link a schedule, and observe that in your mobile phones, how the dashboards looks like, how the reports looks like. But make sure you update that table, create a small database, and upload your 2-3 columns for records. Then you can try with that. So server name, so use the IP address 49.206.196.114. So I'm connecting to which database? The database server, which is in the institute, and you can also connect to that. Password is welcome@123. Let's say connect. Okay, and go to the databases here. You can find the Superstore database and write a command here to add any new record or create your own databases here. So it really doesn't matter. Create your own database with the 3 records, 4 columns, 3 records with the date field, and create a small report, publish on the dashboard. See that in the mobile, right? So you can play with a round trip from your Tableau desktop to database to Tableau server, and then look back the same thing in your mobile. So do this round trip activity. You want to do project work means this is what you have to do. All right, nothing else. You have to create in one, look it in another, validate that. Okay. So you are free to crash this database as well. So I'll give you full permissions. You can create any databases you want. You can load anything records. If something goes wrong, I will fix it for you. All right, so play with that. Alright then, so we'll stop it here for today. But today's topic is very important for interview. You will get only one or two questions only if they talk about the Tableau server. Right, so mostly they'll ask the group's permissions and sometimes about this refresh options. Right, so any questions on what we discussed today? Sorry again. Okay. And tomorrow I'll try to discuss about creating an empty extract. Why should we do that? What made us to create an empty extract? That means without any data, submit only the metadata to Tableau server. Right, so we heard metadata in the first day, if you have learned that. Metadata means nothing but the column names. So we will submit only column names to Tableau server without any data. So how do we do that? And why should we do that? What is the advantage if we do that? So it is a round trip. It is a small workflow diagram is there. So we'll try to do it as per the diagram. So that we call it as empty extract. Publishing empty extracts to Tableau server, and we'll try to talk about that. And then we will move to the permissions, the project level permissions, the user level permissions, then group level permissions, and then that will be complete. All right, then, so we'll stop it here for today and we'll continue tomorrow about these topics. Let me pause the recording.